because we were in the same party, but we never even looked at each other.
Things, and I went to bed, and next morning I woke up, he had messaged you. Kind of just start.
It happened pretty much like that.
It doesn't. You don't want them to know that. Okay. Well, it'll be our secret.
That person whose house I wanted to go to, we were still talking. I won't even say we were in a relationship at that point, but I just felt like I had a lot going on in life, and I knew if I was with him and brought him into my life that it was going to be automatic. I want to be with you, kind of towards the path of marriage. And I wanted to make sure that I had everything out of my life that needed to be before I allowed anyone, not just him, to see that as a possibility.
I just thought she didn't like me.
On Facebook, text messages,
yeah,
all that. All right. He had asked me, this is 2017. He had asked me to go meet him at a bar that January. And I ended up, he says I stood him up. There were no plans ever made. It was just, hey, we're going to get together on this day, but we didn't figure out where we were going to go. And so communication kind of cut off after that. March of that same year, I felt something he posted something on Facebook, and I was like, let me reach out to him and apologize. I felt bad. I was like, the worst thing he could do is not return the message or just say thank you, and that's it. He responded and shot one last time and was like, okay, well, if you're really sorry, you'll go out with me. We'll meet up for dinner. And I was like, okay, so whatever. Where do you want to go? And we ended up going to dinner. And he used that opportunity as that was our first date. He brought roses with him. I was late to the date.
Granted.
I was about 20 minutes late, and I come to the restaurant, and he's got a bouquet of roses, and we had I was doing a 5K that next day, so I told him I couldn't stay out too late. And he was like, well, I would like to see you after your race tomorrow. It's like, I don't want to pass up the opportunity to really get to know you on this level. And we were pretty much inseparable after that first date.
Yeah, we went 3 dates back to back.
Back to back.
So first was the restaurant, then we went and got pedicures. And
wow.
Then, hey, I was in it. I was like, look, I got one chance. She said yes. She showed up. Like, we're going to do this. She took the roses home. So that guaranteed me that I at least got another date out of it.
Yeah.
I was looking for what we call a Proverbs 31 woman, a virtuous woman, a woman that, has certain criteria that the Bible states in Proverbs 31. It was something that she said that I was like, got it. Because when we doing our first conversations, and I knew I made a mistake because I said, hey, here's my number. And then as soon as I gave her my number, I said, oh, why did I do that? I should have asked her for her number. But before I could get that thought out of my head, she said, no, as a Proverbs 30, we had never discussed Proverbs 31 at all. She said, as a Proverbs 31 woman, I prefer this. And she sent me her number. And I didn't even worry about the number. I saw that number, 31. That's what I was, that's how I knew right then and there that she was the one right then and there. I visited her in California, and shortly afterwards, and in my head, I was just thinking, I don't care how far we are distance-wise. I travel a lot anyway, so I was in a position where I could just pick up and move if I had to. But I wasn't moving to California. It was too expensive.
There wasn't one time we did talk.
Yeah, we did talk about me moving there. But the thing was that I wasn't going to let this slip through my fingers. And despite the distance and all, we made it work. But despite the distance, I just said, you know what, this is my wife. This is going to be my wife. And I didn't even realize I was going to propose until I did it. and it just, the words just started coming out, and she was like, "Oh my God, is this happening?" I'm like,
Yeah, that was pretty deep. It was very my big fat Greek wedding. I mean, it was so, and I say that because, and I think I might even told him that I liked that because it was no pomp and circumstance. We were in my room. I think we were just listening to music because we are music, but we love music. And just rapping because we're so used to talking. You know, we would talk all night long and stuff, and it was still very new. And he grabbed me. I mean, he grabbed me like that Clark Gable, like he grabbed me. He Gone with the Wind type of grab.
Yeah, my dear.
And I mean, no, but I mean, look at him. And he grabbed me and he started going in. And he's like, "I want you to be my wife." And I couldn't. I was like, the bubble above my head was like, remember everything he's saying. Oh my God, it's going down. He's proposing right now. This is happening. And I wanted to remember everything, but I was just so in it because I'm just like taking it in, you know? And I'm like, yes, you know, so that's how
I wasn't, I mean, I didn't have a ring. So, I mean, that's just go to show how I was just like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And so we went out and bought a ring the next day.
The next morning, he made breakfast for us. And he was like, "Hey, where's the nearest jewelry store?" I remember my daughter like drinking orange juice and about to like choke, like, like, yeah. He was saying, "What do you want to do? Do you want to go to Vegas? Do you want to fly somewhere? Blah, blah, blah." And I said, "You know what? I would marry you at my kitchen island in my Uggs." Because when it's real, all the other stuff doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You know, when it's really real, you can do it right there. Now you can have, you know, all the beautiful things if you want to later and, you know, but I mean, that's what matters. That's what the heart of it should be, you know?
Spur of the moment thing, because it wasn't, but what it was
we talked
an epiphany. It was more so, this, you know, is right. This is, you know, what I've been praying for and all for a while. And I don't want to block my blessings by, you know, testing the waters and seeing if it's right. God has already given me my Ruth, so to speak, if you're familiar with Ruth and Boaz. So he's given me my Ruth that I've been asking for. And it was time. It was, you know, I didn't care how we had only known each other a short time. It was
a month to the day. We still date.
I can answer that. We do date night at least twice a week.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
Now that we're empty nesters, we can get it in.
We really have fun. Going out of town drove out of town this week. I mean, we get to do us, and we have a lot of fun. We really do have a lot of fun.
I mean, we talked about everything. Like, we really did. We knew kids, where this kid was, what their attitude was like. We knew about parents. We knew about siblings. We knew about finances. We knew about expectations on the woman's side, the man's side. And both of us are pretty liberal. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like one-sided where we think that this is a woman's job or this is a man's job. But at the same time, we do think that. So it's kind of like, you have your sides of things, but at the same time, you put in help wherever it is. But it's that literal rule, and it sounds corny, where it says not 50-50, it's 100-100.
And the deal breakers weren't an option or obstacle. There were no deal breakers. There weren't any. There just weren't any. And so because of that part, that made us secure in our relationship. And we decided to keep it very private. Because we know it's very unorthodox.
A lot of pride.
And yeah, it did, but it also protected us. So we had a beautiful, small, intimate wedding, but we didn't get caught up in the announcement and the photo shoot before the announcement.
Okay, make it plain, we didn't tell anyone.
We didn't tell anyone.
And we kept it secret during the process of dating. And
it wasn't really about the wedding, even though it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was at a church that was established in downtown Houston, Antioch Missionary Baptist Church in 1866 by free slaves. We were in the original chapel, flowers everywhere, beautiful. The actual senior pastor married us. He's mentored.
And he counseled us as well.
He gave us. We understand what's happened in the past, and we refuse to repeat cycles as far as letting other people who don't have their issues together give input to our issues. And so it wasn't about the financial part as much as it was more about we didn't want the input. We did not want the
one
input.
way or the other. We didn't need anyone to tell us it was okay or all right, and we definitely didn't need anybody to tell us not to do it or that it wasn't okay. Okay, so we're very public. We were both very public figures before we met. And I had a following. He had a following. Our families, it wasn't like we wanted to exclude them, and it's our family. Some of our family knew.
We love our family. We do. We socialize with our family.
I think we were just beyond having to bring the families all together just for something that we felt like was between us and God.
Mm-hmm. And just as much as we didn't want to hear people saying, no, we don't agree. I mean, quite frankly, I was married before, she's married before, and my first marriage was literally, I'm gonna say we got pregnant, and I felt obligated to get married, and she wouldn't have a problem me saying this because she felt the same way. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a thing where I was rescuing her or she was rescuing me. It was a two-way thing where we were young and we ended up married because other people told us we should. So us not telling people wasn't just about people not telling us that we shouldn't, but it was even I didn't want people to be able to tell us that we should. I wanted to know this was our decision by ourselves, and that was it, and no outside. No, I mean, that's what we preach about, all the outside influence that we allow to come in rather than just letting God lead your life and God give you direction. And so I think that was a big thing about it. She was at Hope City on the prayer team.
Right.
I had the gospel radio station and ministering all around doing gospel rap and things of that nature. And so when we got together, we were able to literally, I've never been able to sit down and talk to a woman about the Bible in the depth that I'm able to talk to her about. And it's not just she's listening and saying, wow, I don't understand, or deep, or it's like she actually contributes, and I'm like, wow, too, like that's deep. I never thought of it like that. And it's a conversation. So I'm actually can have a conversation in what I'm interested in and what God has me in, not saying, and don't get me wrong, it's probably women that can't have that conversation with me that I can't have a conversation with them about what they're interested in or what consumes their life. So it's not that I'm better or they're worse. It's just the fact that I met somebody
we were truly equally yoked. And being equally yoked is more than the right person. It's also the right person at the right time in the right season. As you said, we were both married before. I was in a 16-year marriage where I had all of my children from a relationship that started in college. It was a season, things happened and that ended, and I learned a lot from it. And so we were just at a point in our lives where all outside influences didn't matter one way or the other, and that it was just very important to make sure that we stayed connected to God and was listening to what he had to say about it. And he also confirmed us every step of the way. What do I mean by that? Like it was effortless in getting the rings and effortless in getting the venue, and no problem getting the pastor to counsel us, which most pastors won't even marry you in a certain circumstance or a situation like ours as quick as that, knowing that we dated in 48 hours. We said we could have gone to Vegas and got married. But a lot of pastors who are prominent and really care about their people and are really good won't necessarily marry you, and rightfully so, because there is a cautionary tale about moving too quickly in a relationship. But we just knew where we were spiritually, and because of those things, we didn't have a problem securing the pastor and going through counseling and the venue and everything.
He said the same thing. He saw it. He was like, okay. He said he normally wouldn't do it under these circumstances, but he saw something that he says he's never seen. And
well, it took a while for that. I mean, we dated. We actually started to date, and then she said, well, look here, why don't you come, to Houston? So we wound up, staying together. And then at that point, as a few months elapsed, I realized, she's really cool. I wasn't looking for marriage. I'm older than her. I got her by about 6.5, 7 years. So at the time for me, I was like, well, I dodged marriage all these years. I really wasn't looking to marry, and I guess she was relatively younger. So, she probably wasn't really ready. But in the process, she got pregnant. And from there, I'm from the, I guess you say, traditional marriage household where my parents have been married like 50 some years. And so I knew that, okay, maybe it's time for me to really consider marriage. And I really prayed to God that he would provide me a spouse, because I wasn't one just to, jump into it to jump out. So I really had to, to pray, and everything that I really wanted in a woman, Sonia had, and I'm blessed today because, the modern women, they don't know how to cook. So that's probably why I'm as big as I am, is because she can definitely throw down.
Wow.
Well, it got to a point where I'm like, well, I really, really need to ask her to take my hand. I thought she would, but I wasn't 100% sure. So, it was like some of the things, like I said, back in the day when I was younger, I kind of may have come across like a womanizer.
Uh-huh.
So therefore, I'm sure that a lot of the parent that she's talking about, me and her son were like brothers. We're really close, and some things that they've seen over the years. And they thought maybe, I had matured and that I was going to do the same thing to her, which, at the time I wasn't married, or I was younger, and, I never, so it was just kind of a strange, response, because out of the clear blue, one day she said, I need to go home and take it. She's from Sealy, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, and every time she went home, pretty much I went home with her. So she said, I need to go home. And I'm like, okay, what time we going? She said, going. I said, I'm going. I'm like, you're going? Like, what's going on here? She's like, well, my dad wanted to talk to me about something, and and I was like, what the heck could that be? I never thought that it would come down to them being notified by my one of my best friend's moms that, watch out for this guy. So when she came back, she was still she didn't really come straight to me and tell me. She kind of like went around the horn, kind of like, what was the deal back then? Why would someone say this or that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, to make a long story short, I wind up proving to the family that I was a worthy person. And so with the proposal, I just wanted to make sure that she was really on board. Because the last thing a guy would want to do is be rejected. So, I felt that it was time. So, we were out at dinner, and I broke the news to her that, would you take my hand? And she said she would. So that's how that came about. Well, but the reason when I came into the relationship, like I said, I had kind of been a bachelor a long time, at least 30 some odd years. So I kind of was one to kind of take it slow from the standpoint of like, I had so many women. I shouldn't say it like that. I've been with, I've dated, been single, no kids. And within the process, I wound up didn't want to ruin it by just like, jumping into bed with her. So for me, I was like, well, let me get to know her before I jump into bed with her. So that's what we did. I wound up, doing something totally opposite what I normally would do, but I wanted to see who she really was, to get to know her as opposed to being a physical relationship. It was kind of a norm, you date somebody and it becomes, a physical relationship. When I met her, like I said, the circumstance wasn't at a nightclub. It wasn't at a spot where, I see her and I'm like, wow, I want to, get with her and get to know. It was more like, she was my aunt's nurse. She met my mom. Her and my mother became best of friends. So it's kind of like I took it from a different angle as opposed to just seeing a physical female and, casual relationship, and then hey, see you later. It was more like, she's younger. I'm not, I'm gonna make sure that I show her respect, and I took it from that standpoint more so than just from a physical, because most men are physical. If anybody tell you anything other than they're kind of fabricating, but men are physical specimens. So therefore they are more, you know, women relationship nurturing, you know, that kind of thing. So she changed me to be, you know, more of, let's talk, let's get to know one another, you know, and you know, became friends before.